Several fighters have broken off from the main group. Come with me.
In 1977, every major studio in Hollywood rejected a space wizard western that everyone thought was insane. Universal said no. Paramount laughed it off. Even Disney walked away. But one gamble changed cinema forever and almost killed its cast in the process. What you think you know about Star Wars, you're about to discover the chaotic, dangerous, and utterly bizarre reality behind the galaxy far, far away. These aren't legends, these are facts. Number 1, the crew thought "May the Force be with you" was a joke. Picture this. You're on a film set in 1976, and your director asks you to say,
"May the Force be with you."
"May the Force be with you," with a straight face. The cast and crew burst out laughing the first time they heard it. It sounded ridiculous, like something from a bad B-movie. Harrison Ford famously told Lucas, "You can type this stuff, George, but you sure can't say it." Nobody, not the actors, not the technicians, not even Lucas himself, predicted that this throwaway mystical blessing would become one of the most quoted lines in pop culture history. Sometimes the corniest ideas are the most powerful, but creating the right atmosphere for those corny lines required some serious artistry. Number 2, half of the galaxy was painted by hand. Before CGI, before green screens became standard, there was a small team of artists at Industrial Light and Magic doing something extraordinary, painting entire worlds on massive sheets of glass. These matte paintings created the illusion of endless space, towering imperial cities, and alien landscapes. Every sweeping vista you see in the original trilogy, painted by hand, real brushes, real paint, real artistry. The Death Star Trench, the twin suns of Tatooine, the vastness of space, all meticulously crafted by artists who spent weeks perfecting single frames. It's a lost art form, and we're never getting it back. Speaking of lost art forms, let's talk about sound design. Number 3, the lightsaber sound was a happy accident. Ben Burtt, the film's sound designer, was tasked with creating something no one had ever heard before. The sound of an elegant weapon from a more civilized age. He experimented with everything. Nothing felt right. Then came the accident. Burtt was carrying a microphone near an old film projector when he walked past a broken television set. The microphone picked up the projector's hum combined with the interference from the TV. That buzzing, humming, crackling sound, that became the lightsaber. No computers, no synthesizers, just pure creative accident. One of cinema's most iconic sounds was born from a guy walking past broken equipment. Number 4, George Lucas was rejected by every studio. George Lucas walked into every major Hollywood studio with his space opera script. Universal turned him down flat. Paramount showed him the door. Disney, yes, Disney, thought it was too risky. The industry saw a weird mashup of samurai films, Flash Gordon serials, and mystical mumbo-jumbo. Nobody wanted it. Only 20th Century Fox took the gamble, investing $10 million into what they internally called Lucas's Folly. That $10 million would become billions, spawning the most profitable franchise in entertainment history. Sometimes the best ideas are the ones everyone else is too afraid to touch. Number 5. George Lucas bet everything on the toys. Instead of negotiating a higher director's salary, he did something unprecedented. He traded cash for merchandising rights. Fox executives thought he was an idiot. Why would anyone want action figures from a movie that might flop? That decision made George Lucas a billionaire. The toy deal alone revolutionized how Hollywood thinks about franchises. Every superhero lunchbox, every video game tie-in, every piece of merchandise you see today, it all traces back to Lucas betting on plastic figurines in 1977. Number 6. Fox didn't believe in Star Wars either. Even after Fox greenlit the project, they nearly pulled the plug halfway through production. Executives visited the set, watched the footage, and panicked. They called it a space wizard western, and not as a compliment. The budget was ballooning, the special effects looked bizarre, and nobody understood what Lucas was trying to create. Fox threatened to cancel everything. Lucas was so desperate that he personally covered some production costs out of his own pocket just to finish filming. The studio that greenlit Star Wars almost became the studio that killed it. Imagine that alternate universe. Number 7. The Cantina Bar was filmed under strict studio curfews. The Mos Eisley Cantina, where Han shot first, where alien musicians jam, where the scum and villainy hang out, was filmed at Elstree Studios in England under brutal time constraints. British labor laws meant the production had to stop filming before midnight, or they'd face massive fines. Those famous cantina scenes, shot in a frantic rush, the alien costumes, the choreography, the music cues, all compressed into limited shooting windows. The crew literally watched the clock while trying to capture one of sci-fi's most memorable settings. Sometimes deadline pressure creates magic. And speaking of creatures and costumes, Number 8. Chewbacca was almost shot by hunters. Peter Mayhew stood 7 feet 3 inches tall. In his full Wookiee costume, filming in California's redwood forests, he looked convincing. Too convincing. Local hunters spotted what they thought was a massive bear wandering through the woods. They grabbed their rifles. The production crew had to scramble, assigning guards wearing bright reflective vests to follow Mayhew everywhere, just to prevent him from becoming the galaxy's first Wookiee casualty. Imagine explaining that insurance claim. One of our actors was mistaken for wildlife and shot during production. Thankfully, it never came to that. Meanwhile, another cast member was suffering in a different way. Number 9. C-3PO's golden suit was a torture chamber. Anthony Daniels brought C-3PO to life, and it nearly killed him. The Golden Protocol droid suit weighed 20 kilograms, about 44 pounds, and had zero ventilation. Daniels filmed in scorching heat, losing approximately 2 kilograms of water weight per day through sweat. He nearly fainted daily. He couldn't sit down between takes. He couldn't drink water easily. Every single scene with C-3PO represents Daniels enduring physical torture for the sake of art. That iconic waddle, partially because the suit barely allowed him to walk properly. Next time you watch Star Wars, remember, that's a man slowly dying of dehydration inside a golden oven. Number 10. The crew nearly died in Tunisia's desert. Tatooine's iconic desert scenes were filmed in Tunisia, North Africa. Temperatures hit 54 degrees Celsius, about 129 degrees Fahrenheit. Equipment melted. Sandstorms destroyed sets. The crew battled dehydration, heat exhaustion, and actual danger. Everything had to be rebuilt by hand, multiple times, under conditions that should have shut down production. But they pushed through, creating the sun-scorched, desperate feeling that defines Luke Skywalker's home planet. Those scenes look unforgettable because they were genuinely miserable to film. And the danger didn't stop there. Number 11. A real fire on the Death Star set. At Elstree Studios, during filming of the Death Star sequences, an electrical short circuit sparked a genuine fire. Flames consumed one of the massive set walls. Smoke filled the soundstage. The crew evacuated. But when George Lucas saw the footage, the real smoke, the real chaos, the real danger, he made a decision. Keep it in the film. That authentic smoke and fire you see during certain Death Star scenes, that's a real accident captured on camera and turned into cinematic gold. Sometimes disasters make better special effects than planning ever could. Speaking of unexpected production choices. Number 12. The opening crawl was filmed by hand. That legendary opening crawl, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, wasn't digital. It was physical. The crew built a blackboard, attached golden letters, and filmed it scrolling manually using careful camera work. If a single speck of dust landed on the board, they'd have to start over. If the camera angle was slightly off, they'd have to start over. It took countless attempts to get it perfect. That smooth, iconic scroll required painstaking precision and analog filmmaking at its finest. Number 13. Darth Vader was created by 4 men. Here's something most fans don't realize. Darth Vader, cinema's greatest villain, was actually created by 4 different people. The body, David Prowse, a bodybuilder who wore the suit. The sword fights, Bob Anderson, a champion fencer who did the lightsaber choreography. The voice, James Earl Jones, who provided that commanding, terrifying vocal presence. The unmasked face, Sebastian Shaw, who appeared briefly in Return of the Jedi. 4 men, 1 legend. One of cinema's most iconic characters is actually a collaborative creation. Proof that great art isn't about individual genius, but perfect teamwork. Number 14. The Princess Leia casting almost changed the galaxy. Before Carrie Fisher became Princess Leia, the role was offered to several other actresses. Jodie Foster was considered. Sigourney Weaver read for the part. Meryl Streep was in discussions. Any of them could have been galactic royalty. But Carrie Fisher transformed Leia into something unprecedented. A feminist icon in a genre dominated by damsels in distress. She was tough, sarcastic, capable, and complex. She grabbed a blaster and saved herself. Fisher's portrayal changed how women were written in science fiction forever. Leia's impact on cinema is immeasurable, and she almost never happened. Number 15. Yoda was supposed to be a monkey in a mask. Yes, you read that correctly. George Lucas's original plan for Yoda was to train a monkey, put it in a rubber mask, and hope it would follow directions. They tried it. It was chaos. The monkey refused to cooperate, destroyed props, and basically created a disaster zone on set. The idea failed spectacularly. Enter Jim Henson and Frank Oz, who created the puppet we know and love, one of cinema's wisest characters, brought to life through patience, artistry, and abandoning the monkey plan. Sometimes failure leads to perfection, but not every character transformation was so last minute. Number 16. Han Solo was almost a green alien. In early concept art and script drafts, Han Solo wasn't the roguish human smuggler we know. He was described as a reptilian alien with green skin and gills, essentially a space lizard with a bad attitude. Harrison Ford's casting changed everything. Lucas realized he needed someone audiences could emotionally connect with, someone charming and relatable. Ford's interpretation, the swagger, the sarcasm, the reluctant heroism, became a template for action heroes for decades. Imagine Star Wars if Han Solo was a green alien. It's almost impossible. And while we're discussing characters who almost weren't. Number 17. Luke Starkiller almost replaced Skywalker. In George Lucas's early drafts, the hero's name was Luke Starkiller. Seriously, Luke Starkiller. It sounds like a rejected heavy metal band name or a parody character. The name was changed just before filming began for obvious public relations reasons. Starkiller sounds like a villain, or at least someone with anger management issues. Skywalker sounds hopeful, aspirational, heroic. That one-word change altered the entire emotional tone of the franchise. Names matter more than we think. Number 18. Only 50 theaters agreed to show Star Wars. When Star Wars premiered in May 1977, the theatrical distribution was disastrous. Most cinema chains refused to book it. The concept sounded ridiculous. The marketing looked bizarre. Nobody wanted to take a risk on Space Wizards. Only 50 theaters agreed to show it opening weekend. 50. That's barely a regional release by today's standards. Then something incredible happened. Word of mouth exploded. Lines wrapped around buildings. Theaters that refused it initially begged to get prints. Star Wars became a genuine cultural phenomenon by proving everyone wrong, one sold-out showing at a time. But even some people who worked on the film didn't believe in it. Number 19. Obi-Wan thought it was a silly movie. Sir Alec Guinness, one of the most respected actors of his generation, famously called the Star Wars script rubbish for kids. He thought the dialogue was terrible, the premise was absurd, and the whole project was beneath him. Yet his portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi became the film's moral soul. His gravitas, his dignity, his warmth. Guinness elevated every scene he was in. He gave legitimacy to a movie he personally thought was nonsense. It's a reminder that artists don't always recognize the impact of their own work while they're creating it. And finally, let's end with perhaps the strangest production incident of all. Number 20. The Sandcrawler sparked a military incident. Remember the massive Sandcrawler that collects droids on Tatooine? That enormous tracked vehicle that looks like a mobile fortress? The prop built for filming in Tunisia was so realistic, so convincing, that it created an international incident. Libyan military forces, stationed across the border, spotted the Sandcrawler through binoculars and thought it was an actual military vehicle. They dispatched a patrol to investigate what they assumed was a foreign military incursion. The Tunisian and British authorities had to intervene, explaining that no, it's not a weapons platform. It's a movie prop for a science fiction film about robots and lasers. Imagine being the military officer who wrote that report. False alarm. It's just a movie. Star Wars wasn't just a movie. It was a miracle born from rejection, chaos, and impossible odds. Every iconic moment came from mistakes, gambles, and people who refused to quit. If you love these facts, hit that like button and subscribe for more forgotten cinema history. The galaxy has more secrets to reveal.